Hey everybody, welcome to another band discography ranking where I rank every album from a certain band or artist. I have done other discography rankings in the past, such as The Doors, The Ramones, Nirvana, Ween. You can check those out on my channel. Today, I will be ranking all five of the Velvet Underground's albums. Yes, and I have done a Velvet Underground list before. I've done my top 20 favorite songs by the Velvet Underground. Check that out if you haven't already. Now I am ranking all five of their studio albums. Yes. So yeah, Velvet Underground, great band. One of my favorites. They're very influential. They inspired a bunch of other great bands such as the Pixies and Sonic Youth and whatnot, Joy Division. Um, yeah, so I thought I'd rank all their albums from my least favorite to favorite. And all right, so of course keep in mind personal opinions as always. And also I want to say, if you've noticed in my other discography rankings in the past, I would always give my favorites. I would always share my favorite song with each album. Now I am actually going to do multiple favorite songs. I'm going to say what multiple favorite songs are my favorites from each album. So yeah, just thought I'd let you guys know. So yeah, all right. So okay, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? All right. So number five, my least favorite Velvet Underground album is a pretty obvious one. If you include this one, this is everybody's least favorite Velvet Underground album, and I understand. Not that it's a bad album, but you'll see in a minute. Um, but yeah. My number five is Squeeze, their very last album, Squeeze. The only reason why this is the worst Velvet Underground album is because Lou Reed, Strilla Morrison, and Mo Tucker isn't on this album. The only one who is on this album is Doug Yule, who was the second bass player for Velvet Underground after John Cale left. Other than that, I will say that this album isn't terrible. It's actually decent. This is a decent rock album from the 70s. I think this came out in 1973, I think, or 72, something like that. 73. And actually, it was actually only released in the UK then and didn't even wasn't even released in America till I think the till this CD came out, which was 2012. So yeah, but no, it's actually not a bad album. It's just not a very good Velvet Underground album. But for a rock album in general, it's decent. It's only the worst Velvet Underground album, only because it doesn't feel like a Velvet Underground album. And it really, I don't even think was really intended to be. I think it's just Doug Yule was the only member. Everyone else left, so he was the only member of the Velvet Underground. And it's all mostly just him on the album with the drummer of Deep Purple and some female backup singers. That's all it is. And but yeah, decent album. Favorite songs from this one. There's only three I liked that were like my favorites. That was Caroline, Mean Old Man, and Luis. And then there's some others I liked, and there's some others I wasn't really into either. But yeah, Squeeze. It's pretty good. I mean, it's decent at least. I do recommend if you haven't heard this album, I recommend listen to it at least once. It's okay. But it is the worst Velvet Underground album. So yeah, it is number five, Squeeze. All right, number four. Number four is the third album in their discography, and that is the self-titled album. Yes, just called the Velvet Underground. Um, I I'm not a huge fan of this album. I mean it's not bad, of course. It's good, but I don't know. I think the track listing is really weird, actually, especially because this album starts with Candy Says, which is such a weird way to open the album. Like this really mellow song. And then the next song is What Goes On, which is more heavier paced, you know. And but yeah, I just I don't understand that. I don't understand why they decided to open the album with Candy Says. Like that was really weird. And also even After Hours is kind of a weird song to end the album, which I do like After Hours. I'm not a big fan of Candy Says, but I do like After Hours, but it was kind of a weird way to end the album too. It's I don't know, it's the track listing that kind of bothers me about this album. But there are some great songs. My favorites are What Goes On, which is actually my favorite Velvet Underground song. Some Kind of Love, Pale Blue Eyes, Beginning to See the Light, and After Hours, which was sung by the drummer Mo Tucker. Um, yeah, decent album. I just not a huge fan of it. It's I don't know. Like I said, the track list is kind of weird, but yeah, it's fine. Yeah, my number four is the self-titled album. Okay, my number three is the fourth album, the follow-up to the self-titled, and I would say this might be a better version of the self-titled. It's kind of similar to the self-titled album, but it's I would say it's a little bit better, and it's a little bit more poppier too. I think there was only two songs I wasn't really into for this one, but the rest of them are pretty damn good. Um, my number three is Loaded. Yeah. Um yeah, I think the only songs I wasn't really into was Cool It Down and New Age. Wasn't really into those songs, but the rest of them I do enjoy. My personal favorites are Who Loves the Sun, Rock and Roll. I Found a Reason, which is a really cool, like mellow kind of R&B song. Train Round the Bend, and Oh Sweet Nothing, which is an awesome closing track. Not my favorite closing track though. We'll get to that later. But yeah, yeah, Loaded. It's very good. Pretty poppy, but it's very good though, and I think it's a little bit better than the I do actually quite a bit better than the self-titled. I think it's a better version of that. Yeah, Loaded. And of course I should mention that this is the last Velvet Underground album. They have uh, Lou Reed, Sterling Morrison, and Mo Tucker. So yeah, actually no, Mo Tucker actually wasn't on this album. I forgot. Um, actually, Doug Yule's brother was actually the drummer for this album because Mo Tucker she took a hiatus because she was about to have a kid. She was pregnant at the time and she was about to give birth. Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, but anyways, but yeah, Loaded, very good. And it is my number three. Okay, my number two. Number two. Now this one, I think most people would probably put as their number one, and I get it. It might even be their best album, but it's not my favorite. There's another one I like better, obviously. But my number one, my number two, sorry, my number two is their self-titled album, The Velvet Underground and Nico. Yes. Unfortunately, I don't own it. I need to get it on either vinyl or CD. But no, I do like this album a lot. I think this is great. I think this is one of the best debut albums ever. Um, I think it was on my top 20 favorite debut albums. It should be on there. Uh, I don't remember what number it was, but should be on there. Yeah, very good debut album. Of course, this also has Nico on there, which I don't really consider Nico as a Velvet Underground member. I kind of just consider it to be just like a special guest on the album, really. But but I like Nico. She's really cool. Um, I gotta say though, I mean, I love this album. Don't get me wrong, but if it wasn't for the last two tracks, I think I this might would be my favorite. if it wasn't for the last two tracks. I'm honestly not a big fan of the last two songs, which were the Black, was it called the Black Devil or Black Angel Death song, I think it's called, and then Fortune or no European Sun. I wasn't into those songs. So they're kind of boring to me. I don't know. Well, European Sun's very boring, and Black Angel Death song. I like the violin in it, but that's about it. Um, but the rest of the album's great. I love the rest of the album, and my personal favorites are Sunday Morning, which is probably my favorite opening track, Velvet Underground opening track. Femme Fatale, which I think is my favorite Nico song. All tomorrow, oh, Venus and Furs, All Tomorrow's Parties, Heroin, and I'll Be Your Mirror. Yeah, those are my favorites. Some great songs there. Um, and the rest I didn't say are also very good. But yeah, it's just those last two tracks. That's the only reason I think why it's not number one. But still great album, still a great album nonetheless. Um, yeah. So yeah, my number two is the Velvet Underground and Nico. And my number one favorite Velvet Underground album, and if you've been keeping track, you know what it is. That is White Light, White Heat. Yes, which I own on vinyl. Um, yeah, this album is awesome. Despite it having less songs than the first one, this one only has 6 songs, but that's because Sister Ray is on here. So, but no, I love White Light, White Heat. It is amazing. Um, the only song I'm not into really, I don't really care for. I heard her call my name. That one's kind of a little bit too noisy, and I don't know, not really into that one. But the rest of them are great. My personal favorites are White Light, the self-titled track, White Light, White Heat, The Gift, Lady Godiva's Operation, and of course the closing track, which is not only my favorite closing track for the Velvet Underground, but one of my favorite closing tracks of all time. That is Sister Ray. Awesome song. Clocking in at fucking 17 minutes, which is the reason why this album is only has 6 tracks. But um, but yeah, awesome album. One of my favorite sophomore albums. In fact, keep that in mind when I say sophomore albums. I'll say I'll say that again after I end this list. Just keep that in mind. But anyway, but White Light, White Heat, awesome album. Uh, that is my favorite Velvet Underground album. Yes. All right, there we go. There's my top or my ranking for all 5 of the Velvet Underground studio albums. Yes. So in the comments, if you are a Velvet Underground fan, please give me your ranking for all their albums, or just say what your favorite and least favorites are. And if you want, you can also say what your favorite songs from each albums are too. So yeah. All right. So Monday will be a movie review. I don't know what yet. I have to make a poll. I will say Lost in Translation will be on that poll, and then 3 other movies. I'm not really sure yet. We'll just have to. You just have to wait and see. And that'll be a poll on my Instagram. And if you want, you can follow me on Instagram. The link tree is in the description, and my Instagram should be on there. So yeah, that'll be Monday, and then Thursday will be like I said, I was talking about sophomore albums. That'll be my top either 20 or top 10 favorite sophomore albums. And if you don't know what a sophomore album is, it's the second album of a band's discography. Um, but yeah, so yeah, look out for that. Because I did do my top 20 favorite debut albums. I figured why not do top 20 or top 10 at least favorite sophomore albums. So yeah, look out for that. Yeah. All right, so Please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell. And I'll see you later. All right. Peace.